Okay, we are live on YouTube right now. Om Ganana Tva Ganapatigam Avamahe Kavim Kavinam Umashamastvam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Shrinvannotibhasi Sadhanam Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Vajnivati Dhinam Avitriyavatu Mahasaraswati Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Sarvalokanam Bhajye Bhavaroginam Hideye Sarvavidhyanam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha स्मिन् गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः देवीं वाचभजनयन्त देवाः तां विश्वरूपा पशवो वदन्ति सा नो मन्दिरेषु मूर्जन्दुहाना धेनुर्वागस्मानुपतिष्ठितैतु व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं सक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकदातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्महृदये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः शिवशक्तिसमारम्भां भास्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मश्रीनाथपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रीललिता महात्रिपुरसुन्दरी समेत श्रीचन्द्रमौलीश्वराय नमः काञ्ची कामकोटिपीठाधिपति जगद्गुरु श्रीशङ्कराचार्य श्रीचरणयोः प्रणामाः स्वस्ति श्रीमदखिलभूमण्डलालङ्कारत्रयत्रिंशत्कोटिदेवतासेवित श्रीकामाक्षी देवी सनाथ श्रीमदेकाम्बरनाथ श्रीमहादेवी सनाथ श्रीहस्तिगिरिनाथ साक्षात्कारपरमाधिष्ठान सत्यव्रतनामाङ्कित काञ्ची दिव्यक्षेत्रे शारदामठसुस्थितानाम् अतुलितसुधारसमाधुर्य कमलासन कामिनी धम्मिल्ल सम्पल्ल मल्लिका मालिका निश्चिन्द मकरन्द झरी सौपस्तिक वाङ्निकुम्भ विजृम्भणानन्द तुन्दुलित मनीषमण्डलानाम् अनवरताद्वैत विद्या विनोदरसिकानां निरन्तरालङ्कृतीकृत शान्तिदान्ति भूम्नां सकलभुवनचक्रप्रतिष्ठापक श्रीचक्रप्रतिष्ठा विख्यात यशोऽलङ्कृतानां निखिलभाषण्डषण्डकण्टकोद्घाटनेन विशदीकृत वेदवेदान्तमार्गशण्वदप्रतिष्ठापकाचार्याणां श्रीमत्परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्यवर्य श्रीजगद्गुरु श्रीमच्छङ्करभगवत्पादाचार्याणाम् अधिष्ठाने सिंहासनाभिषिक्त श्रीमच्चन्द्रशेखरेन्द्र सरस्वती संयमीन्द्राणाम् अधिष्ठाने सिंहासनाभिषिक्त श्रीमज्जयेन्द्र सरस्वती संयमीन्द्राणाम् अन्तेवासिवर्य श्रीमच्छङ्करविजयेन्द्र सरस्वती श्रीपादानां च चरणनिर्णयोः सप्रश्रियं साञ्जलिबन्धं च नमस्कुर्मः. Good morning, Sonalji. As we are having this class, Padmaja is probably in Ayodhya.
Wow. Oh, wow. How nice.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
She should send us some photos.
Yeah. And myself and Vidya, we will be there in Ayodhya, Kashi and Mathura in March. I don't know. I never asked on. You're also going?
Friday. Yeah, we are leaving on Friday. Hopefully, the coming week we should be having darshan.
Please send us pictures, live pictures from there.
Yeah.
And also share some details, like where you stayed, how long the darshan took and all that. Because, my mom wants to go, so I want to take her. At her age, I just want to ensure that she's comfortable.
Yeah, sure. In fact, I need to check because I don't know how far the phone and all would be allowed. But anyway, I will definitely share some details.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Sonalji, for you all, we are arranging NRI Bhavans. So, NRI Bhavans.
What's that?
For stay and boarding. In Ayodhya.
Varanasi. Ayodhya, okay.
Oh, how come you didn't tell us then? I would have gone.
Even now you can join. It's Vaishali Ben and Sejal who are organizing it for us. That trip. You can join us even now. You can join us. Yeah.
We already that time. Anyhow.
Yeah. On a different note, again, I don't know whether I have ever shared the script and the audio file for the Dhyana Shloka that I chant. If you have not,
Yeah.
I have, right?
Yeah.
So.
That is exam script you have shared.
Yeah.
Not the audio part.
Okay, I can share the audio part also. Audio might be slightly outdated from the Kanchi Swasti because I would have recorded the audio when Sri Periva was with us. Now that he has attained Siddhi, that has changed a little bit. But otherwise, I'll see if I can send the audio also. It's a good thing to practice.
It'll be good if you make a gap so that we can
Yes, yes,
follow
yes.
maybe slower.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Yeah. Okay, so I have sent the script to you, all of you. If you have had the time to download it.
Acha, yeah.
So last time we completed mantra 7. Today we will go to mantra number 8. न चक्षुषा गृह्यते नापि वाचा नान्यैर्देवैस्तपसा कर्मणा वा न चक्षुषा गृह्यते नापि वाचा नान्यैर्देवैस्तपसा कर्मणा वा ज्ञानप्रसादेन विशुद्ध सत्त्वस्ततस्तु तं पश्यते निष्कलं ध्यायमानः ज्ञानप्रसादेन विशुद्ध सत्त्वस्ततस्तु तं पश्यते निष्कलं ध्यायमानः. This is 7. Sorry, this is 8. And I will take 9 also, so we make progress. एषोनुरात्मा चेतसा वेदितन्यो यस्मिन् प्रणः पञ्चधा संविवेश प्राणैश्चित्तं सर्वमोतं प्रजानां यस्मिन् विशुद्धे विभवत्येष आत्मा. प्राणैश्चित्तं सर्वमोतं प्रजानां यस्मिन् विशुद्धे vibhavat atma. That is mantra number 9. So let's understand the literal meaning of each of the mantras. Tat atma tattvam means that truth of the Atman. Chakshusha means with the eyes. Chakshu means eyes. Chakshusha with the eyes. Grihyate means is not perceived. Vacha by speech. Api also. Na means not. So napi is also not. Anyaihi by other. Devaihi is not God here. Devaihi means senses. Na is not. So nanyair devaihi is not by God. Not by senses. Tapasa by penance. Karmanaha by work or sacrifices. Va means or, na means not. Jnana prasadena by virtue of knowledge. Vishuddha sattva mind purified. Bhavati becomes. Tataha then. Dhyayamanaha being in meditation or through meditation. Tam that. Nishkalam the absolute. Nishkalam means the absolute. In literal sense, it means without parts, without divisions, without components. Pashyate realizes. So, in summary, what is being said through this mantra is the truth or the Atman is not realized or expressed by eyes, nor by speech, nor by any other senses, not by austerity or by any sacrificial karma. In fact, I want to make this emphatic statement here. And again, it is coming through years of counseling. One of the reasons I love Mundaka Upanishad is because it hits the nail on its head so straight and deep that you should not have any more doubt about what path you have to take towards progress. Because every one of us take the path that is given to us in childhood for various reasons, and then we just evolve on that same path in a slightly expanded way without exploring deeper. Uh, Here, there is a clear dismissal of anything that we say is dependent on our karmendriyas. Everything, the whole system around karmendriya, which means मैंने इतना पूजा किया, I did so much seva, I did so much this, everything done, watched, I heard. So why am I not getting happiness or moksha? It's an outright dismissal that if you believe that you can realize Atman through these, then you're grossly mistaken. Because this point keeps coming over and over again. Anytime you lose somebody, that person will say, I have been so kind to God. I have done so much Pat Puja. I have gone to every single temple that you can think of. Why did God take away this person away from me? Or why is God causing so much misery and harm? No, God is not causing anything. You are not able to realize God within you. And it is becoming so difficult to tell people that look within. No, I understand God is within me, but it is so difficult to believe. I said, unless you believe, there is no start. Where is the beginning? So unless you begin and go down that path, you will not be able to validate the truth. And there is no agenda of any person who has sat down and wrote in every Upanishad or every mantra that we know of to repeatedly say that God is within you. Look inwards. I mean, if you ignore so many repeated assurances, then nobody else can be blamed. So, again, I would say don't take this as a class. Take this as a real practical lesson of life and start flipping things inside. Nobody says if you start looking inside means close your eyes. You don't have to look outside, which means nobody is saying that you should not go to temples. Our tendency is, if you mean to say we have to look within ourselves, then there is no need for temples, no? We can build hospitals, we can build schools. Nobody is saying this or that. You can have the external worship, worship as much as you want, but you have to go down the path of discovering or realizing Atman yourself. So, question is, how do you then realize Atman? Only through knowledge and purity of mind. Two most favorite topic for me. And I'm saying this because I've been now talking to at least 3 people whom I'm advising. I have tried in several different forms the importance of this mind and how doing all that what we are doing in terms of actions is ultimate aim is to trigger the mind. And without taking names, I will say there is a person, a Swamiji, who has given mantropadesha. And that Swamiji is very famous for mantra sadhana. And said, if you keep chanting this mantra, all your life's problem will be solved. Now, you can take that at face value and say, okay, I'm just going to keep doing mantra sadhana. And then start wondering why all your life's problems are not solved. So I was not able to give a very simple explanation, 1 minute explanation. So I had given this analogy. I said, if God comes down and tells you, if you attend kindergarten, A for apple, B for boy, C for cat, you can become a doctor or an engineer. Do you think God is lying? No. God said that's the first step, but maybe you have to do many things more over a period of time, consistently. You can't just say 1 year I go to school, then I remain at home 1 year, and then again I go to school 1 year, and then I'll become an engineer. You got to finish off those 16 years in succession, right? So if anybody, any learned person gives you some advice, we don't have to be very cynical about it and say, oh, he's a fraud, he's misleading, or whatever he says doesn't work. And that is another key part that I do in my counseling. The first word that I say is, you remove the letter J from your dictionary. If you stop being judgmental, 50 to 60% of your life's problem is solved. You can't say, I'm coming to you for knowledge, but then I will judge. I will judge whether you are qualified to teach me or not. That absolutely sounds very ridiculous. You go to somebody for knowledge, have full faith, put full trust, and learn. Expand your knowledge through that process and make informed decisions. You don't have to be judgmental, because there is always a sense of what you don't know, you don't know. Until somebody comes and tells you, you don't know that you don't know something, correct? So if you keep that option open, yeah, maybe what that person says is true, I need to explore a little bit more. You will stay positive, and you will be in pursuit of more knowledge, and you'll be going down the right path. So please treat this mantra as a very good mantra. You can mark it, highlight it. Anytime you have questions, okay, it's all fine. I learned Mundaka Upanishad, but I still don't know what I'm supposed to do to get moksha. This is nailing it on its head. Knowledge, purity of mind. And when there is a demand, clearly there is a demand, don't bypass it or circumvent it. Say, oh, it's easier said than done. You can't be beating both sides of the drum, right? So there are methods by which you can do it. So the answer lies in the next explanation. It is through meditation that absolute is realized. Meditation again, or mantra sadhana, they're all targeting the mind. Or if you say Shak Chakra philosophy, if you say Nyasam, if you say Japam, if you say Parayanam, if you say Archana, Puja, everything is basically to condition the mind. So the end goal is mind. It is not like you do Japam 1008 Japa and every day you will attain moksha. It's ultimately, are you able to control the mind? You can't say, I did 10,000 mantra japa today, but I had a big fight with somebody, some of my neighbors, on a silly thing, because their cat walked over to my lawn. The purpose of the 10,000 mantra japa is absolutely down the drain. So the focus is, you need to have all the components. You will have all the gunas. You need to be aware of them. You need to manage them. You need to balance them. That's the crux of the whole story. So through the grace of knowledge, here when you say to knowledge is taken here to mean that illumination of mind. Knowledge is not hours and hours browsing internet or watching YouTube videos, reading articles written by you don't know who and what the agenda is. So rely on source documents. As much as possible, try to go to source documents instead of reading on interpretations. For example, I am explaining so many things. There could be some hidden agenda that even I don't know on the interpretations. So you take it with a pinch of salt. Go to the source documentation yourself if possible, and try to go over it again and again, again and again. Because sometimes in the fifth or sixth reading, the light bulb will glow. Oh, this is what they mean. Sometimes you read 3-4 things, you will get the meaning of the same concept. Like in Bhagavad Gita, you will get the same concept. Here you're getting the same concept. In other Upanishads also, the concepts are very similar. So stuff is repeated in at least 100 places in our system. You can't get it wrong. So illumination of mind, which is your ability to distinguish between the real and unreal. You start conditioning your mind. Yeah, I'm seeing the iPhone, I'm seeing this, I'm enjoying, I'm having all the pleasures, but they're all temporary. You must have that belief constantly drilled into your head. So in the field of Vedanta, the simple concept of you educating yourself or conditioning yourself is called paroksha jnana. The light of knowledge dispels much of the gloom of the mind. Gloom of the mind comes through desires, attachments, passions, etc. And so that light of knowledge becomes a purifying factor of the mind. And then it enables you to reflect the pure Chaitanya of the Atman. And that is when you say that you attain self-realization. So again, Radha, you missed about 30 seconds or so. I'll repeat that. So the light of knowledge or the illumination of the mind is referred to where the gloom of the mind, or you feel depressed or low because of the desires, the attachments, the passions. If the gloom is gone, it becomes a purifying factor of the mind and to reflect the pure Chaitanya of the Atman. This is the process. There is no other magic, there is no other miracle. This is what it is. Going to mantra number 9. एषोऽनुरात्मा चेतसा वेदितव्यो यस्मिन् प्राणः पञ्चधा संविवेश प्राणैश्चित्तं सर्वमोतं प्रजानां यस्मिन् विशुद्धे विभवत्येष atma. Esha means, Eshaha means this. Anuhu is referring to the subtle. Atma is the Atman. Chetasa means the knowledge, by knowledge. Tasmin sharire, within that body. Veditavyaha, should be realized. Yasmin, in which body? Pranaha is referring to the prana. How many pranas are there in our body? Correct. Panchadha, in 5 parts. See how many times they're repeating it? Samvivesha, has entered or is pervading. Pranehi, with the pranas or the senses. Prajanam, of beings. Sarvam, all. Chittam, mind. Otam, pervaded. Yasmin, in whose. Vishuddhe, purification. Eshaha is referring to, Eshaha Atma means this Atman. Vibhavati, appears. So the summary of the mantra is, the subtle Atman is to be realized by knowledge. There, realized by knowledge where? There, wherein has entered the pranas in 5 parts. It has pervaded the whole of the mind of the beings along with the senses, by the purification of which is, again, purification is referring to purification of the mind. This Atman shines forth. There is a radiance, effulgence that you will be able to see, which you are not able to see today. because your mind is so locked into the desires, passions, greed, selfishness, and all the negative things. So here the Shruti is very clearly saying to seek the Atman in one's own heart as the principle of consciousness, which is pervading the whole of the mind and the body and makes their functioning possible. Your entire system is functioning because of the various system elements that I talked about, 5 pranas, different layers, different koshas, gunas, they're all at play together. But the center of all this is again the mind. You let your mind out of control, you'll also get to see what you don't actually, what doesn't exist. So mind is supposed to be kept pure, under control through all the channels that we've been talking about all along, and that will take you down the path to realization. In this mantra, it says, further, it indicates that the mind is perfectly purified. It is able to comprehend the reality of Atman. So you cannot keep saying, yeah, I know. Every upanyasam that I go, everybody says the same thing. So I know all of these things, but it is easier said than done. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. You cannot keep saying it. You just have to put that faith, put that effort, bet everything down that path. And for doing so, you don't have to give up everything in life all of a sudden. It can be a gradual process. So, any doubt about these two?
Can I just ask about meditation? There's various forms of meditation and types. So in this here, what type of, they talk about meditation, but which meditation?
Any meditation approach, it doesn't matter as long as the end result is a conditioning of the mind. For example, some people can close their eyes and meditate. They can. Some people need some chanting of Om or some mantra. Somebody else may not be able to get that calmness or isolation. They may say some other Bijaksha mantra. Some people may need the mudras to assist in the process. The idea is to meditate means get the focus back and cut yourself off of all the distractions. If you close your eyes, chant Om, and still think about when the next iPhone message will ring, it is not meditation. Correct? Because you are doing everything what the book says, except the crux of it, where isolate the mind from everything. Rest, you followed everything as per the book. You won't get the result. So hammer that whole thing in. It's all about the mind. If it were that easy, everybody would attain moksha in 1 year, no? The world's population will come down drastically. It is not that easy, which is why God says 7 janmas you can take, no problem. Imagine 7 janmas on an average, even if you live by 70 years, per janma is about 490 years.
Is there like a systematic path, or like, I mean, it's probably a silly question, but like depending on one's guna makeup or whatever, like one's tendency or personality, is there like that maybe if you're a bit thumbsick, then you should use this meditation, or if you're more rajasic, you use this meditation?
My simple answer is don't over-engineer the process as well, right? For example, if you take Mundaka Upanishad itself, if you take the meaning and research, you may get 10 different explanations. Don't confuse yourself with 10. Maybe read 2 for validation, right? Just 2 sides, maybe 3. Get the crux of what they're trying to say and personalize it. For example, I have learned Nyasa in Sri Vidya Upasana. But is that the first time that I'm learning Nyasa? The answer is no. Many people associate straight away with that. Oh, Nyasam means you are talking Sri Vidya. I said, no, Nyasam is a very fundamental concept of Sanatana Dharma. Any one of you know Vishnu Sahasranama?
We read it with you, but I don't know it as such.
You must have been chanting Vishnu Sahasranama without knowing the first part is all about the mantras and dhyana shlokam and Nyasam.
Did you explain to us what was Nyasam last time? I thought we forgot what it
He
was.
did, when we did Vishnu Sahasranama, he did explain that.
Yeah, it's a word. It always makes me feel. Oh, what is that? Nyasam.
Nyasam is basically you have sparsha of certain parts of your body. You energize that body by invoking certain devatas into that part of the body. Correct? So you follow the process. I would say do Nyasam. Yeah, you do Nyasam, very detailed Nyasam. You do Japam. Japam is nothing but simple harmonics. People will say, so should I say Gayatri Japam or should I do Chandi Japam? Or should I said do all of them. It doesn't take much time. Because each is a different harmonic. Like if you go to Bollywood analogy, which is a very dirty analogy, but A.R. Rahman's music is different than Ilayaraja or Shankar Jaikishan, right? But they all have their appeal. They have their own harmonics, which you enjoy. So it is basic again to the connection that our system resonates to sound because we originate from sound. That is why it is called pranavam. Then, what are you talking about? How can you become a human with bone and flesh from sound? Then you have thrown the entire Mundaka Upanishat class down the drain. Because through this 6 months, that is what was explained in part, bit by bit in detail. So you have to revise it. The answer is, go back to the YouTube videos and revise it. But start with the belief. Only then the stuff that you learn will be in your memory. If you just listen to it, say, yeah, it sounds good. I know what you're talking about. But then off the class, everything is, gone. It will not help. At the same time, in Nyasa, I have added a few parts myself because I believe those are equally important and further consolidates the whole concept of Nyasa. So if you're taught Nyasa in a particular course or in a particular class in a context, you can expand on it and benefit from the concept by religiously doing it. You're sitting and watching TV, right? There is an ad break. You get very annoyed. I have to see the same ad over and over again. My answer is very simple. Sit down and do some Nyasam there. Each time the ad runs at least for 10 minutes. Or you do some japa.
Can Nyasam be self-taught or it has to be like an initiation?
Anything in our system is always through a Guru Parampara. Always.
Is it a bit like, this EFT, like that tapping that thing? Is it a bit like that?
No, this is very... You don't need to do tapping, etc. Tapping is again a method of a simple harmonic that you introduce for energizing the body. Nyasa is very simple. At the core, I don't want to go into detail and get distracted here, but at the core, there are 6 parts. Kara Anga Nyasa, 6 hands, 6 body parts. That is the least you can do. You go a little bit more. In Sri Vidya style, it will be Matruka Nyasa, but it's all about Ma, Devi. So all the Am, Mim, Rum, Rum, Lum, Lum, Em, Im, Om, Aha, all of them. Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha, Nga. The entire Kacha, Tata, Paya, Varga. They are all 56 Matrukas. So use each of the Matrukas and do Nyasam with the Devata. You want to go into more detail, then you can go for each part around this thing in a sort of a lotus petal circle. You can do Nyasam, each of those things. So it depends on your time. In the Rudra style, we have Mahanyasam, where we actually touch the hair follicle and do Nyasam. So believe in that system. Once you start practicing it, what you took 15 minutes to do, you will do it in 3 minutes by practice. Because if you memorize and you do it right over and over again, you don't need to read the PDF. You won't make mistakes. You will automatically create time to do all these things. But believe in the system. That's the key thing that I would keep saying. There is never going to be a time allotted for you to say, oh, I've got now 1 hour free to do Nyasam. You have to create time. That's the starting point. And our gurus have been so flexible to say, even mantra japa, if you don't have time, if you're a working mother, you take care of home, go to work, etc., do the Purvanga part of the Nyasa in the morning. Throughout the day, you've got the ability to do the japa. And then come back home in the evening, finish the Uttaranga, and wrap it up. You can't be any more flexible. So don't bind yourself by saying, oh no, Sampradaya says, what is the point in doing it in piece by piece? There's no point in doing it. My grandma said you have to do it together in one shot, in one sitting. You can't even get up. That is all putting that Sampradaya weight on the process, and you end up in doing nothing. Your grandma told everything to be done in one step. The grandma never realized there is going to be iPhone, there is going to be TV, there is going to be internet. She never realized all that stuff. So she was giving you advice in her era. As you grow and as things take over, like from next year, you will see virtual reality. You may not even see watches and phones. What do? All the grandma sutra is out of the window. Correct? So you have to adapt and understand the essence and customize it to your lifestyle and your personality. So don't look at just the surface part of it. Get to the in-depth purpose of saying something. So mantra japam, mantra sadhana is like, it's like the vibrator, I should say. It's a very cheap explanation. It's like the vibrator that you keep using on your body constantly, right? The only difference is it's a very powerful vibrator designed by God, not by some company that wants to make profit. And Udaka Shanti is a very, very big example that I keep giving. How many of you know Udaka Shanti? No?
Heard of it, but I don't want to recite it.
No, you don't need to recite it, but have you heard?
They have birthdays and all those things. The priest blesses with that.
Udaka Shanti is a very compilation of various Veda mantras into one composition. It's not like another Vedam by itself. It's a compilation of essential mantras in a particular sequence. It is chanted when the woman is pregnant and you do, I don't want to use the word baby showers. We have to start using our Sanskrit word, Seemantam. No, Pumsuvanam happens within 4 weeks of your confirmation that you're pregnant. And Pumsuvanam is done only for the first child. Seemanto Nayanam is the full term. It is done for every child. These are all misconceptions. Oh, Seemanta Putri or Putra, which means you are born first for whom Seemantam was done. No, that is a misconception. Seemantam has to be done for every child. And it is during Seemantam you chant Udaka Shanti. In modern day, the Vadyars of the priest will allow the lady to get up and walk. Oh, poor pregnant lady, you can't make her sit in one place, so tiring. In good old days, they were delivering 11, 15 kids. And there was the pregnant woman will sit through the whole event sitting like this with a cross leg. No problem. Today's world, Vadhyars will give you concession. Okay, you want to take a round and come back? No problem. Your husband will do all the job on the Havan. But when it comes to the Udaga Shanti chanting, Vadhyar will say, you are not getting up from here. Just sit down. It is that mantra is being chanted by at least 5 to 10 people consistently with a certain pitch to energize the baby inside. It's supposed to improve the memory. So that is why Udaka Shanti is chanted for every big occasion. You perform Udaka Shanti. It's very powerful. But then you have to believe it. You have to listen to it. And if you play and listen, if you can't chant, at least you can listen somebody chanting. You will understand the power of it.
How is it pronounced? Udaka Shanti.
Udaka Shanti. I will put it in the group.
Udaka.
Okay. So there are kids who are learning from me. Now the adults are also have reached that stage in my class. And it is a treat to see kids who are 7 years, 9 years, 11 years, ready on a Saturday morning, 6 a.m. class. They will come all the way and they will chant Udaka Shanti. They have gone beyond Udaka Shanti, but now I'm making them perfect Udaka Shanti to chant it so well. So it is very powerful. You just have to remember what you were taught and practice it, perfect it. And the reason, even for example, I've learned Vedam in 1974. But when I start going out and chanting in group, there is adulteration possible. Because depending on the puja, somebody will say, hey, fast, 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 fast. People are waiting for lunch. Chant fast. So if 10 people decide to chant fast, you can't say, no, 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 no. My guru said this is the way to chant it. Please, everybody slow down. They'll throw you out. So in Tamil, they say, Kuttaduru Govinda, right? Like you go with the crowd. In the whole process, if you keep doing it repeatedly, your own calibration is in doubt. I used to come back home and listen to a benchmark chanting to keep myself sane. Very, very simple thing I'll tell you. And I don't want to make it a political statement. Even learned people, if you listen to the chanting, they ignore the importance of avagrahas. Avagrahas are filler letters introduced when you do sandhis, right? Visarga sandhi or other sandhis by which you attach words in Sanskrit together. But you should not lose the meter. So if you don't give that matra for that avagraha, you are impacting the meter. So what is the point in saying Anushtup Chandaha, Trishtup Chandaha, etc.? No, you are not on Anushtup Chandaha or Trishtup Chandaha. You are on your own Chandaha. So who will tell you, hey, you're not chanting it right? You need a guru. And I don't know whether I said this. If I repeat it, just pardon or bear with me. A significance of perfection in chanting in our system can be seen in the mechanism they have put centuries, millenniums ago, not centuries, millenniums ago. Vedic learning, you have 16 method of chanting. Have I said this before? The first and the foremost.
Initial stages.
Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya Namaste Rudramanyava Uto Deshave Namaha. This is called Samhita Pata, which means you are just chanting it as a prose. The 16th level is called Ganapataha. So whatever I chant in the beginning, Om Ganana Am Tva Ganapatikam Avamahe Kavim Kavinam, this is Samhita Pata. Same thing. Om Ganana Am Tva Ganapatim Ganapatikam Avamahe Havamahe Kavim Kavinam. This is Ganapatha. So you must be able to chant it with perfection, either way, in a composite formula, memorized. And you say, oh, it's easier said than done. Sorry, there are many people who have done it, are still doing it. It's not like some people did it 300 years ago. Now in 2024, it is not possible. There are new people who are learning and coming to that level. It's called Salakshana Ganapatikal. Ganapatikal, and there is beyond that one level called Salakshana Ganapatikal, where the letter Gananantva will be broken down into the lowest elements. And for each lowest element, there is a 6 attribute that they will talk and describe. And they will chant like this entire Vedam by memory. Imagine they would have spent at least millions of hours in practicing and perfecting it. But people do it. People have achieved success. So if one person can do it, you can also do it. It's just that your level of belief and commitment in that is not there. So it is not difficult. It is doable, but it depends on the significance of that peace of mind and moksha in your life. If you say, forget all the stuff here, one more janma, it's okay. Let me enjoy. God has given me good salary or good business or good job, let me enjoy. Then you're in the wrong class. So focus again on nyasa, meditation, have guru. Any person, one person has to be a guru who can give you that feedback. What you're doing is right, wrong. So I am teaching so many things to so many people. So can I say, oh, I know everything, I don't need a guru? No. You need a guru. That guru will find faults in your own teachings also. Hey, you said this wrong. You taught this wrong. And you need that. And guru does not mean it has to be a teacher. A guru can be a student also. I don't know whether I shared that example also. I have taught this thing, Kanakadara Stotram. And in 13th shloka, I gave the explanation. And there were people who were from India and Philippines and Singapore who were part of the class. So the lady from Bengaluru sends me an audio file after the class and says, please tell me whether this is correct or what you taught is correct. Just see the way in which God comes and gives you a wake-up call. And even in the beginning itself, I told there are 5 versions of Kanakadara Sotram, authentic versions. I have learned from childhood this version, and I am going to teach what I know. That disclaimer was there. And when this audio came, immediately, within seconds, I responded. I said, you don't validate God. God is always right. And she didn't get it. She said, what do you mean by that? I said, I don't know whether you're genuinely not aware of what you're telling me or you're testing me. Nevertheless, let me respond. This voice is known to the whole world. Voice of God. It was Mahapariva's explanation of Shloka 13th of Kanakadara Sutra. And he goes in depth for 5 minutes. This is how the actual shloka should be or is. This is how the wrong version is printed and propagated. It completely changes the meaning. So this is the correct version. I said, obviously some certificate course expert cannot say that. And if Mahapariva says, that is final. I stand corrected. And in the next class, I said on YouTube, it is on recording even today. I said, please stand corrected. And immediately that lady sends me this thing. There are very few people like you who can admit it. So Guru is always important. There is no harm in getting corrected. There's no harm in saying, okay, you don't know something or you have learned it wrong and somebody has corrected it. You got what I'm saying? So key element is have a Guru who can guide, who can customize your path, who can say, please do these 5 things. Because what works for Usha may not work for you. Imagine again, in the energy system, I talk of mind, I talk of energy. Your energy composition could be different than hers. So if you will resonate with, let us say, Rag Bhairavi, I'm just giving us an example. She may not resonate with that raga, or Sanjay may not resonate with that raga. So you have to figure out what resonates with you. You understand the meaning resonate not in the literal sense. I'm talking of in the physics sense.
Yes.
Correct? So if there is a natural frequency of your body constitution, you must come as close to that as possible for it to get saying, okay, trigger. In a more technical jargon, it's called rising of the Kundalini Shakti. So somebody told me, my guru told me that you chant Rudram, you'll get moksha. All your problems in life will be solved. I said, no. You have to chant Rudram, you have to go to work and make sure that you show up for all the meetings, deliver results. Only on your performance appraisal, you will get salary, based on which your house will run. That's the reality of today. Because we don't live in the Bhiksha Vandana system anymore. Right? So keep it simple. Keep the structure and the whole process simple. There could be slight variation, as I said. You could be chanting Bhairavi, she could be chanting, Todi or some other raga. Concept is important. Okay, so let me open up and say, do you have questions from the Guna explanation that we had last time? We have 8 minutes. Again, Sonalji, my gurus have taught me this is wrong. You cannot do this. In the middle of the class, you cannot drink or eat something. I know it. I have taught. But if my doctor says your sugar levels will shoot up if you don't do it, you have to adapt.
Yes.
Right?
Could I ask about frequency? May I ask? So you said the mind is different and the energetic body frequency is different.
All the energy centers ultimately control the mind. Your video is frozen. I don't know whether we lost you. All the energy centers ultimately control your mind.
Yeah.
So you tune all the energy centers
Mm.
by which your mind can be intact. I'll give one example. If you, let's say, I don't want to take a mantra. You are an upasaka of certain mantra. You keep doing that with absolute perfection, commitment, and dedication. You will see an element of calmness in that person. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How does that come? It comes by the conditioning of the mind. If I tell you, Sonalji, you're a moron, you have choices of throwing a stone at me, cracking your TV or laptop, or you can just say, okay, if you say so. This is the range of options you have. The choice that you do depends on your knowledge, education, and how you are tuned your body and mind. This is a simple mechanism. Correct?
Yeah.
So that is the physics that we are talking about. Understand your body and mind, how it gets conditioned.
So the energy centers are the chakras.
Yes.
So they should be
Yes.
tuning your frequency.
Those are the main centers.
Mm.
And the local centers are the parts where you do nyasams. Nadi is all the energy pathways. It is not the nerves. It is the energy pathways.
So if you align the frequency of the chakras, then your mind will be more, your thoughts will be more.
You will attain moksha.
Mm.
You will not need to attend my class anymore. That is very difficult. It's not easy. And if you go to the concept of all the pranas, where the pranas, different pranas reside on the physical plane, right? Where the panchabhutas are in the physical plane, you will understand the significance of each of the chakras. I'll give you one clue. Let me see if you're able to find out and give the answer in the next class. Which chakra has got lam as the bijakshara? And what is this bijakshara meant for? Lam.
Isn't that the base chakra?
If you know it, yeah, then it's good. No, if you know it, it is good. Connect that with the dot. Lam is associated with what?
Ganpati and
Prithvi.
Earth.
Lam is Prithvi, the earth element. Ram is Agni. Yam is Vayu. It's so crystal clear and consistent. You go from left to right or right to left, it doesn't matter. You will reach the same destination. It's just that concept of putting all of that together in a very simplistic fashion that you are able to understand. And repeatedly, you have to go through the same thing over and over again. It is not an easy thing to understand. So you go over it again and again, and then that light bulb will open up, pop. Otherwise, you learn only chakras. You'll say, okay, great, I know about it. I know the names, I know where they exist, I know what they're talking about, etc. But if you don't connect it to the five elements, if you don't connect it to the five pranas, if you don't connect it to the five guna, the three gunas, and if you don't understand the guna concept to the upadhi level, and then you don't understand that the microcosm and macrocosm, which is what we learned in the last month and a half. The whole purpose of me taking it, this is actually, I've taken it to Vedanta. I've used Vedanta to explain the concepts. So again, there are many schools of Vedanta. I picked one. If you learn or listen to somebody else following a different school, you will see differences. But end goal is the same. है ना. Sambar aap बनाएगी will be different than what Usha makes, but both will be called sambar, right? At the end of the day, if you want sambar, you don't have to do over engineering of Sonalji's sambar is good for my health, or Ushaji's sambar is this thing. Sanjay will come and say, throw both. Amti is the best. So take what works for you, right? I don't know whether I'm answering your questions, but I always prefer that you go to the depth, but come back to simplicity. The same thing I could have given you 10 shlokas for each mantra. 10 more shlokas for each mantra from every other part of our system. And it could have become even more complex. We'll continue this. I will do my best if I can create a document and share it with you before the next class, which I promised Usha also. A diagram kind of a thing for the guna concept. You're on mute, Sanjay. You're going to get disconnected anytime. You're still on mute. Maybe your audio mic is not connected properly. So have a nice day. We'll continue the conversation in the next class.
Carry on. We are actually going to India.
If you get disconnected, you have to call me on WhatsApp, just in case. Yeah.
We're going to India, so I won't be here for the next